Free mower, repair or trash. Hello and thank you for stopping by. Today I'm going to be working on this free mower that I picked up. It's been sitting outside for quite a while and I have to make a decision on whether this is going to be repaired or whether I'm going to be trashing this, using it for parts. Right off the bat, I removed the air filter cover to see what we look like. This is completely clogged. The bolts holding the casing on are rusted on. I don't know how long it's been outside. This governor is tied with the spring over here. It looks like they were trying to get a full throttle on it. This definitely isn't correct. Let's see what else. The deck is pretty solid all the way around. The wheels are good all the way around. Let's see what else we have. It's self-propelled, but the cover's missing. Belt's a little worn. I don't have the bag for it. All the cables are here and they all work. This one's a little stiff. Really no rust on the outside of the deck. Let's take a look underneath and see what we have. Okay, underneath is what you would expect to find. The blade looks like it may be bent. Let me get this down before I start moving that blade around. There isn't any gas in here, but just to be safe, we'll disconnect the spark plug. And this is a good safety habit to get into when you're working on these. Okay, underneath is fairly decent. Back here, that's busted up. Not a big deal, but it's not perfect by any stretch. This is a pretty solid deck. Let's get back on the top side. This has overhead valves. Another reason for these units not to start or to run right, the valves may not be gapped properly. What I'm going to do next is to reconnect the spark plug. I'm going to remove this starter. I'm going to use the drill to spin the engine and to spray some carburetor cleaner or gas. I have to see what I have in here to see if it kicks over. If it kicks, that means I have compression and I have spark, so that eliminates two issues, and then we'll take it from there. And also, when I checked the oil, there was water in this oil. I don't know how water got in there because it came with a cap on it, and maybe at some point it was left out, or maybe one of the kids put a hose in there. I don't know, but that was drained, and I'm going to add oil into this before I do anything so I don't forget. So let me get the oil in here, set myself up, and then we'll see if we get it to kick over. All right, what I'm going to do first is to remove this. It has 3 nuts holding it down that require a 10mm socket. And what's nice about this unit, this is a Toro. It seems like everything on here is a 10mm. It's not switching back and forth between different sizes. That makes it pretty convenient. I'm working outside now, and I want to make sure I don't drop any of these nuts. So I just use this magnet, hold it to the base of the socket, and it all comes out together. Don't have to worry about dropping it onto the grass and go searching for it. I'll get these other two and then we'll be back. Or you could just loosen it and pick it up that way, so whichever way you prefer. Magnet is a big help. Okay, once that's off, remove the cover, and I'm going to put the drill onto this nut, spin it after I spray some gas into here. I'm going to pull this out. The drill set up, and before we use the drill, we have to tie the handle back to disengage the brake and the safety. Now I'm going to spray some gas right into the carburetor, use the drill, and see if she kicks over. Put this camera back a little. That straight gas I sprayed into there. Let's see. It's going in the right direction. Yeah. Helps if that's tight. Let's try again. All right. So we know With this firing up the way it did, we have spark and we have compression. Now why it's smoked up like that, I sprayed all that gas in there. This carburetor is going to have to come out. I have to remove these two nuts, and again they require 10mm socket. And what I did, I sprayed my mix of 50/50 acetone and transmission fluid. I used that on all my rusty nuts and bolts, and it seems so far I had the best results with it. I already loosened these up a little bit. When I was able to get a few turns on this, I sprayed it down again, tightened it up. Same with this. I went back and forth a few times because not only do I want to get these nuts off, I want to save the studs that are going into the carburetor. So I'm going to remove this carburetor, see what it looks like, whether I'm going to clean it or whether I'm going to replace it with a new one. So before we start, remove the spark plug wire again. Not that anything's going to happen, but I just try to keep it as a safety procedure. It's good, it looks like most of the rust was on the nut itself and not the stud. Pull this cover off. And what do we have back here? Alright, this is what I'm looking at. I have all this crud over here. We have the automatic choke. What do we have here? Let's see. Let's see how we got to get this off. Okay, get a little brush and clean this all off here. Man, I don't know where this thing was kept. Okay, what do we have? Let's see what we got to get off. Right off the bat, there's a gasket here that's broken. Okay, let's see that cleaner. Let's see. Okay, this looks like it could stay on, at least until we get it off. This right here, okay. I'm not sure the proper procedure on how to get this. We have two torque screws, one to hold this on, and one over here that's holding this bracket on. So if I release this bracket, I'll either be able to get this off up here, I'll be able to remove it from here. So let me go get a torque screwdriver. I'll be back to address this. I have this apart so it's easier to see. This actually had two screws in it. It had the one in the front that I originally showed you, and there was one back here. Now this is loose, the carburetor's loose. I didn't disconnect this one here. We're coming out, I'm just pulling it straight out. This is a Z-bend back here. I'm not sure which end will be easier to get out. Let's see, well, I'll leave that on. I'm gonna pull this straight out. Okay, one of these has to go. I don't know what's holding this on over here. See, it's a Z-bend. I'm gonna have to put this camera down. I need two hands to work on this. I'll be right back. It looks like this should be able to come off first, but when I go to move the throttle, I can't move it. It looks like this governor was locked all the way in one position. So I'm going to loosen this nut back down here so I can move the governor lever back and forth. Alright, I don't know if this is the right way to go about this, but after I loosened the governor nut, I was able to move this linkage a little better, and then it popped right out. But I still couldn't get this off. It almost came out, and I'm just concerned that if I bend it just a little bit more to get it out, it'll snap, and then I'll have to go look for another piece. And I'm not even sure if this mower is going to run right. So what I did, I removed the cover. I came over to this side. There's a 10mm nut up here and one on the bottom that I removed. Once I remove those nuts, this whole piece comes up, and I can pull this whole linkage right out. Okay, again, I need two hands, but this is a Z-bend here. Let's see. And she'll come right out. This may be an unnecessary step, but it's what I did, not to worry about breaking this plastic piece right here. Now the carburetor should slide right out. Should, let's see. And I have this gas line to remove. I'm going to take this over to the bench. It looks pretty rough. The choke right here is full of rust. I don't know what it looks like in here, but I'm going to clean this up. We'll open it up and see what's inside. Most of the gas spilled out of this carburetor while I was cleaning it up, but we'll take a look and see what's left in there. Somebody was in here once before, but this thing is just so tight. There isn't any reason for it to be that tight. Let's see, get a little more leverage here. This was past being tight. You can see this nut stripped up. Gas does stink. Oof. Okay, this is the inside of the bowl. I don't know if I could clean this up, if I could save this or not. See what the rest of this looks like. Here's the gas. And look at that color. See debris in there. I really don't see any water in there. Then again, a lot did leak out. This reminds me of what carburetors used to look like years back before the ethanol gas. They would varnish up. This is all sticky. They might have had some additive in there. Now it doesn't, I can't tell if that needle's going up and down. Well, I'm going to try cleaning this up manually, get that needle out, see what it looks like, and then decide whether I'm going to work on this carburetor or just go for a new one. Once I have this cleaned up somewhat, I'll be back. This is the before, and now this is the after. This cleaned up surprisingly easy. All I did was use a toothbrush and some gas, and when I got the heavy debris off, I used carburetor cleaner. You could use a little more cleaning up in the hair, but it came right off. I don't know what that tacky stuff was, but it came out. The hinge pin was a little difficult to get out, but I got that out, pulled out the needle, cleaned that up, cleaned out inside, and then we had this jet. For some reason, this jet was difficult to clean. This jet right here, I had a hard time cleaning it. I was able to get through with a thin wire, a bread tie. I was able to get through it, but there was, that gook was in there, and I had a hard time getting it out. I let it soak a couple of days in some carburetor cleaner in this bottle. The emulsion tube was easy to clean. There was hardly any cake up in here. I guess it all got clogged down in here, and it wasn't that bad up in here. This cleaned out very easy. You want to make sure you get all, the camera's probably not picking it up, but you want to make sure you get all these tiny holes cleaned out. Okay, so the way this will go back, this goes in here, then the jet. Next, the bowl. Remember what that bowl looked like? This was very easy to clean up, the bowl. I thought this was going to be rusted out and I was going to have to get a new bowl, but this is fine. Now here's the problem. This jet is located, I believe I showed it earlier, up in here. And this is the idle screw adjustment. You have to get this idle screw out, and then you could pull this up. This jet is completely clogged, and I had it soaking along with everything else. And the way this jet works is that the fuel comes up through the bottom and it gets distributed through these holes on the side. One here and one here. There's a hole on top, but this doesn't go all the way through. It's just a dimple. So gas has to come up this way and come out the sides. This is completely clogged. I'm going to soak this for another day or so, see if I can get through. If I can't, I'm gonna go online, see if I could buy just this jet. If not, I'm gonna have to get a new carburetor. So back to soaking this, and I'll be back to show you the results. I had this project on hold for about a week. A few other issues came up, and this idle jet, I couldn't clean this out no matter what I did. I used the bread ties that I generally use. I had a stiffer wire, it was thin, still couldn't get it through. I had it soaking in this bottle, first with carburetor cleaner, then with straight acetone, and it was in there, I'm telling you, for a week. I couldn't clean it out. I went online and I looked this piece up, and I believe it was 10 and change just for this little idle jet. This was something I never used before. These micro drills, I seen them advertised all the time. I read good reviews, bad reviews. They were like all over the boards. But I figured, you know what? It's Amazon. They let you return it if you're not satisfied with it. Let me give it a shot. Well, I bought this micro bit set. It would have been nice if it came in a case. Don't hold me to the price. I believe it was just under $10 with tax. All I did was put it down, and I started drilling through. And I tell you the truth, I didn't think I was going to go anywhere. I really thought there was a piece of metal stuck in here, because if it was anything from the gas, being in the acetone for over a week, it should have came out. But I just kept going with it, nice and easy, held it straight up, applied steady pressure to it. Can't put too much pressure. I mean, this is about the size of a bread tie, and it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. And I pulled it out, and I noticed a little white on the tip of the drill bit. So I said, okay, well, it's either cutting through this copper, which wouldn't be white, or it's cutting into something that's in there. Well, I went through, and as you can see, I think you can see, let me get a better angle on this. That drill bit went through. So I'm not endorsing the product itself, because I don't know how long these bits will last, you know, whether that's the only shot I'm going to get out of it. But for $10, I have the idler jet, which will work as well as a new one, but I do have to get new O-rings because they just dissolved in that acetone. I mean, they dissolved. And I have this set if I need it again. I think it was a purchase well worthwhile. I wouldn't get in the habit of using the drill bits when I clean out all the jets, unless I couldn't bore through it with those little wires, because those jets are usually made out of brass or plastic, and you don't want to open them up, it will cause problems. But if there are times you buy these carburetors aftermarket, they're just not jet properly, and you have to open them up, it'll be good for that. I'm just throwing this out as a tip. For $10, I think it's worth the purchase. I have the link for it down below, and even though I didn't purchase one of these, I'll have the link for this down below too, if yours is too far gone or you just decide to buy a new one. I'm going to reassemble the carburetor, install it back onto the engine, and then we'll go fire her up. I have the carburetor installed on the engine. Johnny's going to fire it up, and let's see what we have. Go, John. Well, this is going into my trash or treasure series, and it's a treasure. This was a dump pick mower, wasn't running. You saw the shape that it was in the beginning of the video. Didn't do anything to the deck other than wiping it down. I still have the old filter in there. I have fresh oil, fresh gas. I have to get a new filter. This is a keeper. The only thing missing here is the cover. So I'm going to clean this up. I'm not sure if I'm keeping this or if I'm going to try and flip it. Without the cover, a lot of people won't want it. I don't have a self-propelled that I'm using, so I might end up just keeping this one. And this is a Toro, guaranteed to start, one pull. And you saw Johnny got it going with one pull. Nice job, John.
Thanks.
So if you enjoyed this video, found it useful, let me know. If you have any questions, post them in the comments down below. Give it a like, it does help. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Hit that Joe Z button, it's free. And not to miss my new videos as I upload them, be sure to ring that bell. Until next time, stay safe.